Sally Face. One of the most beautifully and carefully made, heart-wrenching, and story-rich games I've had the pleasure of playing since Little Nightmares 2. Like Little Nightmares, Sally Face has an extremely vast lore that is mostly left up to interpretation by the viewers, but can also be learned through the many Easter eggs and achievements throughout the game. One of note is when Sally Face uses his newly found Gear Boy to talk to and find spirits in his apartment complex. Once you find and talk to each ghost whose stories intertwine, you can learn more about why they died and how it all connects to the story and what really is going on in the battles of Addison Apartments. I got way too frustrated with the Gear Boy level, so I missed their stories completely, but I was able to piece them together through watching others' Let's Plays on YouTube. Where Sally Face differs heavily from the Little Nightmares series is the fact that the latter games rely on visual storytelling and very little to no dialogue. We see the story through Six and Mono's eyes as they travel through the world, and we put together context clues based on what the game's beautiful graphics show us, and what we can hear through the next level sound design and music. Sally Face, however, is very dialogue-based, and we would have no idea what was happening if there was none. The creator of the game was very intentional with his dialogue choices to create an elaborate and mystery-filled story, as tragic as it turns out to be in the end. The music, art, and script are all created by Steve Gabry, an artist, musician, and indie game developer also known as Portable Moose. He is completely responsible for destroying me. Curse you, dude. The music in this game is absolutely incredible, submerging the player even deeper into the gameplay and story. If you disregarded the spoiler warning at the beginning, I'm just gonna assume you don't really care about it. So this right here is one of the most compelling scenes to end a game chapter I've seen in my life. The dialogue, the art style, the transition to Sal in his jumpsuit, the obvious tiredness and despair in his eyes. One of my favorite moments in the whole game. It does such a good job at hooking the players in and convincing them to hear the rest of Sal's story. What we gather through Sal's conversation with his therapist is that something tragic happened when he was younger, involving the traumatic death of his mother and the permanent disfigurement of Sal's face, causing him to wear a prosthetic mask from that moment forward. The only people who don't really seem bothered by Sal's mask at all are his close friends, Larry, Ashley, and Todd. Ugh. Don't get me started on Larry. But going back to the scene with Sally and his mom is an obvious flashback as we see by the player controlling a young Sally, and he asks his mom to go and see a dog which is supposedly near them in the park, where they're having their picnic. Mom reluctantly agrees to let Sal go, and as the player moves Sal deeper into the forest, our vision is slowly more and more obstructed by the trees, giving us a sense of hopelessness and powerlessness. We then see a dog poking his head from behind the trees, and we emerge as Sally, our face completely dripping with blood as the music and graphics change drastically, and we come upon Mom's purse in the parking lot, along with several dog bones. But that scene is only one of the countless examples of cinematic storytelling through the game. Another favorite is the doorway scene. At the beginning of episode 4, Sally stands at the front of the apartment building, playing his guitar and facing away from us. Blood slowly starts appearing on him and around him as the police can be heard pulling up, further confirming that Sal has done something worthy for him to be put on trial the player doesn't even know yet, hooking the player in even more. Gabry does a great job at pulling on the heartstrings of the player and showing off the growing familial bond between Sally, Larry, and other characters. Because of this, the player is left on the edge of their seat as they helplessly watch Sal explain to his therapist the past events leading up to the day he was arrested and put on trial. Which brings me to this amazing transition. In episode 4, we play as adult Sal exploring his new house where he lives with Todd and Todd's boyfriend Neil. We get a text from Larry, who still lives in the apartment, asking Sal to come with him back to the apartments to investigate why the ghosts there are no longer showing up. As Sal walks to the door to let Larry in, this happens. And we're back! Ashley testifies against the Sally Face killer and hopes to bring to light that he just needs help. But it ends up backfiring on her. But I won't get to that part yet. Sal and Larry go back to the apartments to find out why the ghosts aren't appearing anymore, and I don't know, dude. I hardly remember playing that, except when Larry makes some pretty heinous tooth puns. So they figure something out, and I don't know, just watch someone else play it who knows more than me. And this is where big spoilers come into play again. Sally later gets a text from Larry telling him he will be gone soon, and not to blame himself. Sally rushes to Larry's apartment and finds that he has I won't go any more into how painful that was, but you can imagine. And then, this is where it starts to get absolutely crazy, and I freaking mean it. Y'all are not ready. Larry, who is now unbound from the treehouse where he died, gets gifted this badass stone thingy that helps him and Sal destroy these culty pillar thingies all over the apartments. The residents are like possessed by black goo, like I said, is crazy, and I'm no good at explaining it. But basically, we get to floor 1, and Mr. Addison, the owner of the apartments, is a giant green goo monstrosity, and you have to defeat him with the power of guitar. Woo, yeah! Until young Mr. Addison tells Sal that he has to off everybody in the apartment to save them from the thingy possessing them. And I'm not gonna show that. But yeah, Todd is effed up now because the cult got him. Yeah, there's a cult, by the way, which we figure out in episode 3 when the teenage friend group goes all Scooby-Doo mode and are like, oh wow, that's baloney rank, dude, and they find out their teacher has been using missing kids as baloney! They also find a secret trap door in her bedroom that goes here. Yeah, like I said, this game is too much, and I haven't even begun to scratch the surface of all of that. But back to Sally getting arrested for first-degree murder. Everyone in the apartment is dead now, thanks Mr. Addison, including some residents that weren't even infected, but Sal got him anyway. Not talking about that! But yeah, Sal, it don't look good for you, buddy. The goo told me to is probably not gonna hold up in court. This is how I cope, guys. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. I mean, he tries to tell his therapist, Dr. Enon, at the end of episode 2, and Dr. Enon decides to go to the treehouse to see what he can find, but he ends up seeing Larry's ghost and falls and dies. And now nobody believes Sal, and I love this game. So Sal gets sentenced to capital punishment, and Ash is like, this is all my fault, and tries to catch him with evidence of Larry being a ghost before he goes bye-bye, but I'm just gonna let this play. And someone ruined it even further for me by saying that the only time she cried was for Sal. And they have his mask there! Oh, y'all thought it was over from here? No, not even close. Basically, from here, Ashley is the main character now. And Sal's in this weird place in the ghost world that, like, hurts my brain. Basically the entire last part of the game. Ashley finds these weird pyramids that bring Sal's ghost to physical form for a little bit, and for some reason he's able to go to Disney World and Tim Burton World and just... What? What is that? And then Sal is suddenly able to enter Ashley's arm, and she goes to the cult place and beats their asses along with Ghost Sal and Hagrid? No, that's Ghost Larry, but what? Todd is there too, I guess. So they kick the cult's booties, and their school bully was the main cultist's son? Okay, lore drop, I guess. Now that I've properly confused you, I'll hit you with my conclusion. This game broke me. Parallels. Oh, the parallels. And these dialogue segments you get when Sal's in the ghost world. Ouch! One of which just drops the bomb that the cult leader was trying to kill Sal when he was a kid and his mom stood in front of him. The leader was wearing a dog mask, which is why Sal insists his mother was killed by a dog. Yikes! In my opinion, this game is horror, but not how you usually think of it. When I think of horror, I think of blood and guts and monsters and crap, but sure, this has that, but just the sheer horror of not being able to completely control what Sal does and leading him to commit the atrocities that he does, and how they go into the idea of the ghosts and the ghost world, just no. My brain hurts. Also, why is literally everyone dead? Basically, every single person we meet except Ashley and Todd, and that is not an understatement. Steve Gabry, you son of a biscuit, I need a second game now or I am rioting.